if you really sit and think about wholesaling, you get to sit in a chair, you're dialing phone numbers,
Yeah,
and you're talking.
it's pretty simple.
Fuck, it's simple.
I look at wholesaling like digging a hole. Digging a hole is simple. It ain't easy.
It ain't easy.
And the longer you put it off and continue to watch YouTube videos and try and learn as much as you can, that hole ain't getting dug. Like at some point, you got to put the shovel in your hand and start digging.
What's up, y'all? This is Eric Cline with another episode of Refuse to Lose podcast. Dude, as you know, every time I have an episode, I say, I'm excited about this one. I got a special guest, but this one beats them all, bro. This is my brother from another mother. Him and I have known each other. He's known me. You know, a lot of you guys hear me tell the stories about me smoking crack and jumping out windows and hallucinating and all that shit. But this guy actually has seen me through all of that. He saw me at my deepest, darkest moments. Listen, dude, at the end of the day, 15, 20 years later, we're still best friends. And there was a separation for a few years. I don't know exactly how many years, but we just needed to get away from each other, get our lives together, and then we came back together. And when I tell you, we have disrupted this wholesale real estate industry like it's never been disrupted before. We flipped this bitch upside down on its head, and I'm super excited to do this episode. Out of any episode that you've watched, pay attention to this one. I got my brother, Mont, Tony. What up, dog?
What up, dude? Thanks for having me. I'm privileged to know you before all the success and the crack smoking and all that. It's funny because you had the event, the boot camp at your office last week that I was able to speak at. And it's funny because people come up to me all the time because you got all this energy. And they're like, I can't imagine Eric on crack. And I was like, I hope I'm the only person in his life that ever knows what that's like.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
Well, thanks for having me, dude. Yeah, it's been a journey, but like you said, we both have a troubled past and
Speckled.
Very speckled. And that was back in like 2005. We lived together. That was 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Which is crazy. I've known you over 20 years. But yeah, in 2005, I mean, I think that was the peak of our recklessness. Pretty close. Well, it was the peak of mine. Yours went a couple years later.
Yeah, I ran for another 4 years.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. But yeah, so that, 2005, I was arrested and, caught a first-degree murder charge, faced life in prison. Everybody's heard the story. And then me and you just kind of split ways. You went to Florida, I went to California. Cleaned our act up, built businesses, and ended up back together years later in the wholesaling space. And ran that for 3 years, moved out here to AZ, and here we are coaching and running another wholesale company.
Yeah. What I want to jump into is, how do they follow you?
Yeah, the Tony Mont on everything, YouTube.
On everything. Yeah. The Tony Mont. Tony, Tony, Mont, Mont. And so, dude, I want to jump into, we sit here and talk about our past and all that shit. But
that's been played out.
Yeah, it's been played out. We jumped into this space. How long has it been?
It was in 2021. The beginning of 21 is when we started. You had went out to Raleigh, started getting leads coming in. You were locking up contracts. I got out there in May, started on acquisitions for a couple of days and quickly switched to Dispo.
Yeah.
Ran that for 3 years. Shyla did all the admin TC work for that company. We did $8.6 million in 3 years, sold that company, and then came out here to Arizona last year and started another wholesale company. January 20th was our start date of 2025. So we've been running that for, almost 2 months.
Just shy of 2 months.
Yeah, like 6 weeks or something.
Yeah.
7 weeks.
Yeah. So what I want to break down is, listen, there's a lot of noise in this industry. I believe, thank God, the word guru is just a weird word to start with.
Yeah. I don't even know what it means.
I want to know who made it up.
Yeah, it sounds Asian.
It is
guru.
Weird. Yeah, it does. It sounds really weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
But there were these guys out there that called themselves gurus, and I think it was really easy. You come from 15 years of running a super successful bike company in San Diego. I'd run another company. So when we came into this industry, not knowing anything about real estate,
Right.
right?
Nothing.
You had never bought a house.
I had never bought a house, and yeah, nothing. Didn't know anything
And
about
I
it.
recklessly bought homes.
Yeah.
Primary residence.
Yeah.
And when we came into this industry, it was really quick to realize it was like, these guys don't know what the hell they're talking
Well, because like wholesaling, there's a low barrier of entry, and
Yes.
it's made up of a lot of hustlers, which is a good and a bad thing. It's good because you can get into it, you can make a ton of money. It's just sales and marketing, like you always say too. It is real estate. That's the product. But as long as you can hustle and you're good at sales, can get over the phone, or can get good at selling over the phone, you can get contracts. And if you get a good one, you can dispo it. The thing that I saw in this industry was all the biggest players, all the gurus, they were just hustlers that were taking advantage of how good the market was back then. And as you started digging into it, you're like, oh, they don't have a sales process. I remember because, I mean, you come from phone sales, so you had to step up, from me, because I was just like, man, I'm used to selling beach cruisers at the beach in person and, going for rides with hot chicks and bikinis. Like, that's a lot different than being over the phone. But you had a process from your last business. And I remember going to all these events, and I kept asking the question of like, what do you look for in dispo, like KPIs? How do you find cash buyers? Like all the things you need to know in dispositions. And nobody really could answer any of those questions, no matter what event or mastermind or anything we were involved with. No process at all. Not even a sales process. So thank God you had yours. But like nobody could give me SOPs, KPIs, nothing for dispo. And I would meet a ton of people and I would try and call them and figure it out, and nobody had it. So just had to come up with one on my own, because the industry is full of people that just took advantage of a hot market where hedge funds were buying well over what the properties were worth. And, any private investor, if you could get a house even for what it's worth, then if your flip took you six months, you're still going to make money on it because the market was going up so much. And then once the interest went up in 2022, I mean, as we see, a lot of these guys have fallen off.
The kings were naked.
The kings are naked. Yes.
Kings are naked.
They are.
So let's talk about how again, dude, I got kicked out of high school, first degree murder, drug infested lifestyle for years. Education. I mean, from a academic standpoint.
Yeah, not educated. We'll just leave it at that. I can barely read. I can't write really well. I mean, I'm a good writer.
Yeah,
I just don't know how to. I don't know how to spell. Is my point.
Say you're a good writer.
I'm a good writer. Thank you. But yeah, it's just we didn't obviously go to. I mean, you went to college for one day. You were going to be a nurse. 2 days. You were going to be a nurse. I was a welder. Then I became an electrician, swinging a hammer.
Blue collar.
Very blue collar. Families from Sicily. Grandfather was a bookie. Dad worked at a factory for 37 years, never missed a sick day. My mom cleaned houses. Like, that's where I come from.
So what I want to is, how does two guys, and with Shyla helped out, Shyla, my wife, his second wife.
Stepwife.
Or stepwife. But what I want to talk about is how were we able to come into this industry and make millions, not just gross millions. We've been able to make millions of dollars doing this and having the success that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would love to break down is, like, how did we do it so they can hear it? Because I think what a lot of people underestimate, and you've corrected me on this. I'm always like, oh, this is so easy.
Mm-hmm.
So easy. And you're like, no, dude, it's simple. It's not easy.
I said this at, last weekend too. Somebody was asking me about, the difficulty of wholesaling. I was like, it's just work, and it boils down. I look at wholesaling like digging a hole. Like, digging a hole is simple. It ain't easy.
It ain't easy.
And the longer you put it off and continue to watch YouTube videos and try and learn as much as you can, that hole ain't getting dug. Like at some point, you got to put the shovel in your hand and start digging, or else nothing's going to get done. And I think a lot of people that don't find success definitely overanalyze everything. Like me and you especially, I would say, have a tendency to just jump in full.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go, right?
Yeah.
And I have definitely a little bit of that. I'm a little bit more cautious than you, but like in this space, it was just like we didn't know what we were doing, but it's like, hey, let's just do it and figure it out as we go. And if more people did that, they would find success. I would say that's a huge part of it, is just taking action and not being scared, just jumping in. You're going to learn way more in your first month of making calls and doing deals than in a year of just trying to analyze everything and learn.
YouTube and videos and all that shit.
Yeah, I learned for 2 weeks, maybe a month, and then just jumped into it, you know? And that was only because I was driving out to North Carolina from San Diego. But, you know, that's a part of it. I would say, you know, with both of us, all three of us have owned businesses, had teams, understood how to manage people, understood marketing, sales, processes, like how to build a real business from the get. Like we didn't start off hustling in wholesaling. We started off like with an office and a CRM and everything, like getting leads. Like we started this company like a real business.
Yes.
And also I think the three of us taking specific roles in the company was huge, because like you just focused on marketing and sales, what you're best at. Shyla focused on all the tedious stuff that you know would struggle shouldn't be doing. And she did all the TC closings, all the SOPs, all the back end admin stuff, which is desperately needed in a real business. And then I took over dispositions and kind of ran with it. So, sticking to our lane and learning that process, so we were able to teach it to our team and support our team, was a huge part of it.
So when we first got started, because I think there's a lot of people where they're like, oh, I don't know what market to go in. I don't know this. And Jerry Norton was actually sitting right here. I was sitting over there. And Jerry's like, where a lot of people mess up is they worry about problem 3 before they've solved problem 1.
Exactly.
And that's picking a phone up.
Yeah.
Like they literally won't pick a phone up because they're worried about a buyer on a deal they don't have. So when it came to us, even picking our market, how did we pick our market?
I still don't even know how to answer that question, because it was just like, all right, we're in North Carolina. I guess we'll just pick this market. We heard Florida was good, so we picked that. And then we heard Ohio was good, so we picked that. Like, that was it. It was literally one person telling us, like, North Carolina, Florida, Ohio are good markets. And we just said, okay, those are the markets we're going in. We didn't overthink it. We just started buying data, got the cold callers going, and started ripping deals.
Yeah, and cold caller. Like the beginning for us, it was just cold calling.
Yep.
And I was just on one of our communities call today. And if you can close cold call leads, you would demolish this.
You're going to demolish it. A friend of ours, John Berger, who lives out here, he's been running PPC forever, right? 20-something years. And that
ruined his closing.
Ruined them, because he tried getting cold callers last year. And he's like, he calls me, once a week. He's like, dude, I don't know if it's the leads or my closer. I don't know what's going on. We can't lock up a deal to save our souls. And I'm like, well, you've ruined your closers. Yep. They've been getting PPC leads for however long they've been there. They're not going to treat the cold call leads the same. You're right. It's like riding a unicycle for a year and then jumping on a $10,000 road bike. You're like, oh, this is a lot easier. Yeah. Everybody should 100% start off with cold callers. It was our biggest return. We have people we coached years ago that are still running their cold call campaign with their team and still getting an 8 to 10x return, even though they're doing, mail and commercials and PPC. Nothing compares to cold calling.
Yeah. So to get started, I think to give some action steps, right? Because a lot of you out there, the success rate in this industry, like, I don't know if it's real or not. I've said it 95% fall out.
Where'd you hear that?
Don't have a clue. It's a new statistic, though, here within the wholesale real estate industry.
Yeah, Eric Cline statistic.
Yeah. Just look it up on theericline.com, and it'll say that somewhere on my website. We'll put it on there later today. But this is what, in the very beginning, all you need to do is pick up the phone.
You need a script. You need a script. Market to pick. Just wherever you're sitting right now, just do a
pick it.
100-mile radius around you.
Yeah.
Like, just pick a market, get a cold caller, get the data, and start dialing. Literally. And in the beginning, too, because I think a lot of people struggle with, like, well, I know they do. It's like a major thing where people get hung up on underwriting, right?
I struggled with it.
Well, just like they get hung up on, where am I going to find a buyer if I get this? It's like, you know, don't worry about a problem until you have it, kind of thing. But like the underwriting, like I've told people a million times, so have you, it's like, just take 50 to 60% of Zestimate and just start making dials.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to learn as you go. If you think you got to master everything before you get started, you're never going to get started. You just got to do it.
Our buddy Jerry said the 100-day challenge, if you were to do the 30-day challenge, if you were to do 100 offers in 30 days, just off Zillow, for sale by owners and for rent by owners, 100% of the time you're going to get a deal.
100%.
This is what happens in this industry is people. So I've been on the phones for almost 15 years now. I am used to the daily grind of being on I'm still on the phones today.
Yeah.
And I think people underestimate I'm trying to even think what wears them out. Because if you really sit and think about wholesaling, you get to sit in a chair or wherever you want.
Yeah.
You're dialing phone numbers.
Yeah.
And you're talking.
It's pretty simple.
Fuck, it's simple.
I know. I think about that all the time when I see our team. They're just like, I'm, sitting in our office or I'm, whatever. I'm watching them and I'm like, they're like shooting a basketball while they're on the phone because we got the basketball thing at the office. They're walking around putting. There's a putting green in there while they're on the phone pitching, and it's like this is like the greatest job ever. Why do people struggle with it?
And he's closing. Well, Caden closed 15 deals in a month doing that?
I think more than that. Yeah. Well, 15 in a month, but he's got a lot more. He just locked up one yesterday. He's locking up one right now. But yeah, like that dude is the most like laid back on the phone I think I've ever heard from somebody just getting started too. He's just really good on the phones. But yeah, to your point, it's like maybe it's too easy. Then it's like, it's like maybe I'll just put it off till tomorrow. This is like too easy to sit and dial a phone. I don't know what the psychology is behind it. I just think people don't. Maybe it's because like there's a lot of false information out there about making a quick buck wholesaling, and people don't understand that you do have to do it. You have to treat it like a job. I think people do treat it like it's not a job. It's kind of something they do on the side. Hey, if you don't have enough time to do it, it's okay to just block off a couple hours a day and treat it like a job for 2 hours a day. You're going to get deals. But I think people, just don't treat it like that.
Yeah. So we did, what was it in 3 years?
It was 8.6 million. I think it was like 420 something contracts.
Mm-hmm. All right. We were able to do that in 3 years. At the very end, we had a team of roughly.
I think there was 6 closers, 3 dispo assistant, a TC, a closing coordinator. We had an underwriter, a sales manager, and an operations manager.
Let's talk about some of the struggles that we had built.
Yeah, well,
there was a lot of them.
We lived in Raleigh, North Carolina. That was the first struggle. Yeah, for
Raleigh.
sure. Yeah, there's not a lot of salespeople there, or companies that are looking for salespeople. So we were hiring people that were upholstering cars, working at
Dollar store.
The dollar store. Yeah, Dollar General. Yeah. She's still there. But yeah, nobody really came from any type of sales at all. I don't think.
But our processes allowed us to bring in your average Joe. And dude, we had a couple guys that were
guys that were good.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It was like we could, somebody was coming in at a a 4 or a 5 in ability, and we were able to get them to a 7, and they could consistently lock up deals.
Yeah.
But being out here in Scottsdale, there's a lot more, hustlers, salespeople. It's just an atmosphere with energy, and we can get, better qualified salespeople on the phones out here. So I'd rather get somebody from a 7 to a 10 than a 5 to a 7. But that was one of the struggles.
Not having too many, we had too many closers versus how many dispo we had.
Yeah, we overwhelmed dispo a few times, and that's kind of, not always going to be a struggle, but something you want to be aware of, because it's like, and our marketing, like when we first started doing adding PPC to our lead generation, we were statewide, and now all of a sudden we're locking up, 3 contracts a day, but they're in the middle of nowhere, and we're locking them up like they're in a major market. And this is before we even knew about the flat fee MLS, and it just like overwhelmed dispo. We're like, oh shoot, like these deals are really hard to move. Why are we even working on them? We didn't know about novations or anything else, so that was one. But these are the growing pains, right? It's like somebody just getting started. Like, just stick to your market, one cold caller, and get contracts. Like, it's not that hard. Like, we scaled really fast, and of course, as you try and grow super fast,
shit breaks.
Yeah, bring brand new into the industry. It's like, yes, shit breaks. And back then, there was just a bunch of gurus. There weren't good mentors that had a step-by-step process or could give, good advice on marketing, Like, I think the marketing strategy we got from our first mastermind was just like, as long as there's 100,000 people in the area, just pick that market. Yeah. Then it's like, well, can we get a little bit more specific as we scale?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're out of Raleigh. We're back, or we're not back. We're in Scottsdale, and we've started, Tony has primarily freaking started a brand new 100% virtual wholesale operation about 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And we started from scratch.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought, and this is the one thing that I will say is you have to be cautious of who you are listening to on social media, whose YouTube channels you're watching. And when I say that, I mean that. The right information will get you far. The wrong information will cost you a shit ton of money. And when I say that, I mean that. And when we came out here, we didn't know if we were going to start another wholesale company.
We had no plans on it.
We had no plans on it.
Yeah.
We talked about it, but it was kind of like, eh.
Yeah, personally, I didn't know what I was going to do out here, really.
Yeah.
And it took me a few months to figure that out. Obviously, a lot more coaching. We have the elite program, our community. So like that was something I was spending a lot of time on. But then it just became like, I'm like, man, coaching, cool. It's like, but man, we need something tangible. Like it'd be great to start wholesaling again, not only for us, but to build a team and coach a team is always super fun. Building a business is fun, even though it's a lot of work, but also how much more we can still learn as we go through this process. Like a lot of our students are starting from scratch, or they're starting to build a team, and it's like, let's just do it alongside with them.
Do it again.
It was too easy not to. So, so that's why we started, and super happy that we did. And this time around, I would say we'll probably start having serious conversations about it after we're 90 days in, but we're going to buy a ton of real estate. That's really the main goal with this new wholesale company.
Yeah. And I think the reason we caught so much wind in this space or attention is that we were just so transparent. I'm like, dude, I was constant.
Yeah.
Showing numbers.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, holy shit, I've never seen this.
Right.
They're showing their office. They're showing their CRM. They're showing their lead to contracts. They're showing their cancellations. They're showing, it was almost like the first time the audience was ever able to watch a real operation.
And when we started having the masterminds at the office in Raleigh, we had our team there on the phones,
working,
ripping the phones on acquisitions, sending deals out, talking to buyers on Dispo. We were doing transactions. Like people were coming to our office and they could see in real life this operation. It blew everybody's mind
It
because
was real.
it was real. We went to a one or 2 day event like the week I got out to Raleigh, and we went to their operation. We're just like looking around like, what's going on here? Like where's their numbers? Where's their seat? Nobody's even working, first of all.
Yeah.
Like, are they even doing deals? And it was the same thing with every mastermind we were part of event we went to in the beginning. It was like nobody really had a team doing much. And it's
you
like
couldn't, there was no numbers.
there's no numbers ever. And they were obviously not doing deals.
They're not doing deals.
So I mean, we're definitely doing deals. We got, started from scratch. I think this is our 7th week out here in Scottsdale with the wholesale operation. And within our first couple weeks, we locked up over 10 contracts for 300 and something grand.
Let's talk about some of the deals. All right. So we are, and mind you, he's going to pull up our CRM.
Yeah.
So he's going to look at real numbers. We're going to go over, this is 7 weeks in.
Yeah, we're on week 7, I believe.
So week 7, and let me just explain something here, because this people said, those guys might have got lucky. No, nothing about what we did was luck. So we're seven weeks in, and just so you understand, LLC had to be set up. Tony got an office, outfitted the office. What I mean by that, stand-up desks, computers,
big screen TVs
to show the KPIs. So Tony did all that, and we had to hire.
We hired, 2 people literally moved here from Florida to work with us. Another local person, we hired a couple local guys. One didn't work out, one's still there. And then Dispo, same thing. A couple local guys got ripping, but I mean, literally started from scratch.
And we didn't have any new leads coming in.
No new leads coming in at all. We were texting our old data.
Legacy data.
So for the first month, really, almost month, the first 3.5 weeks, I think, all we did was lock up contracts from our text campaign in the CRM. We literally didn't spend a single dollar on marketing. It was all legacy leads.
And just so you guys understand what we're talking about, legacy. So we own TLC Home Buyers for 3 years. We accumulated from cold calling, PPC. We tested out some paper lead companies. So in 3 years, we acquired 21,000 leads.
Yes. And we took 14,000 of those from our best markets, so the markets we wanted to stay in, right?
Which were North Carolina,
Florida, Ohio, whatever Arizona
Tennessee
was in there, and Tennessee, I believe. Yeah.
Yep. So we took 14,000 leads that were already in a database, sitting there for years. Some of them 3 years, some of them 6 months or older.
Yeah, and out of the contracts we have locked up out of that legacy data, there's some that are 2 years old. They've been in our system for 2 years. We got under contract in the last 6 weeks. Some were 6 months old, some were a year and a half. It all ranges, but none of them were fresh.
Fresh leads. So there's a reason I want to bring this up is a lot of you, and there's levels to the being able to build the company, having the right systems in place. In the very beginning, you're not going to probably have all of this, but of the 14,000, we only took 4,000 leads.
Yeah, 4,000 we texted.
Have we texted any more than that?
Like as of right now, we've probably out of that 14,000, I bet we've texted probably 6,000 total so far.
So 6,000 leads total. We just took and we put them into our CRM. We have a custom built CRM, own the software. It's not the Podio or that left main bullshit. It's a software built. We've been building it for 13 years. So we have what we call the 10 days of hell. So we took old meaning they've just been sitting there for a while. It's like fine wine. The older they get, the better they are.
Yeah. It's insane. Like, we just texted old data and it proves such a point of like people, bitching about their leads or whatever. It's like, dude, we locked up a contract that was literally the lead was 2 years old. She'd been locked up 3 times before for like 30 grand. We called her and she wanted 50,000. We got under contract for 11.
Damn.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much gold. Like, for people that have been doing this a while, we met James over the weekend that joined Elite.
Yes.
And I mean, he's
19-year-old James?
yeah, 19, 3 kids, married. Yeah.
14-year-old brother's his acquisition manager.
Yeah, the kid's 19 going on 60. But yeah, I mean, and this dude's been, I mean, it's 72 cold callers.
72.
You know, for his 14-year-old brother.
Yeah, there's a whole country, whole town in Egypt that works for him.
Yeah. And I mean, but he's figured it out. He's making money. When he said 72 cold callers, I about fainted. I couldn't believe what the hell was going on. But I bring him up because he's got so much legacy data where he's like, I mean, he has so much money in his CRM. It's insane. And I remember me and you were, when we started this, we're like, well, what are we going to do for lead gen? And like me and you were like looking at the CRM and thinking about it, I'm like, dude, there's $4 million.
Millions of dollars.
Literally, I think there's $4 million of deals in our legacy data. And it's like,
and that's just the low-hanging fruit.
That's the low-hanging fruit. Yeah. That's not even digging for it. That's just, the tech scam.
Yes.
So like there's so much money in these leads. And, I think too, it's like, we always talk about conversion rate too. And it's like, man, our conversion rate was always like what, a little less than 30 or around
28 to 32.
Yeah. Let's call it, every 30 leads we got a contract. Yep. But dude, as we're seeing, how many of those leads were pushed so far down, we never called them again. Yep. Like, dude, if you had enough of a team, enough manpower and a good text campaign, like cold call leads, we could probably cut that in half.
Yeah. I agree.
Literally.
I agree.
Like, and we'll see with all this data in here, I just don't think people, like with the conversion rates, I don't think people are spending enough time trying to dig for that gold because you're constantly getting new leads, which you should. But I'm saying there has to be a process to dig up these old leads for sure.
So we mentioned conversion rate. What do we mean by conversion rate? You should be tracking how many leads it's taking you. And what I mean by a lead is somebody that says, hey, that's my house, I want to sell it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. Because as you say, I mean, I've never answered a call and talked to somebody and said, I want to sell my house over the phone. I mean, if somebody's saying that, they're as motivated as you get, in my opinion.
Yeah. So in most markets, you should be able to stay 40 leads and under. You're obviously going to have your Maricopa County. That is not the case right here where we sit today. San Diego, it's not going to be like that. Probably not in like Raleigh, North Carolina. It's probably not going to be 40.
Yeah.
Shit, even though I think Amari in them.
I think they are. Yeah. Seattle. There's places where you might have a savvier seller. So, they're more up to date on what their home's worth, or, there's not enough distress there for them to want to sell it, you know, for less than what it's worth, basically. But in the place, most 99% of America, you're absolutely right. 40 leads and under. So for every 40 leads you get, you should get a contract.
Yeah.
And, we don't have that statistics because, our leads are all just legacy leads.
Now.
So so we're just locking up, legacy data.
So we started 7 weeks ago, and we put out there in 90 days.
Yeah.
90 days. This was a bold statement.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people are like, these guys are idiots.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so we are 7 weeks in. How many days is 7 weeks?
Oh, God.
7 times 7 is 49.
49.
So we're 49 days in. And we said in 90 days, we'd close and fund on $250,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're 7 weeks in. And again, from an absolute fresh start of office, hiring, training, all that jazz. How many contracts have we done total? We'll talk about the cancels. We'll
Yeah.
talk about what's already been assigned, what's in dispo, and what's newly contracted.
So we've done 35 contracts so far.
35 contracts.
35 contracts. There's 5 in cancellations, which I'll go over those real quick. One was in Texas, and the guy actually he didn't want to sell his house after he got under contract, right?
Seller's remorse.
Seller's remorse. He thought he could get more money for it. We tried, but it just became a not a deal. One we locked up, which was a great deal in Largo, Florida. It was a condo, but the seller didn't disclose to us that the tenant was on a yearly lease. So she's not paying enough for an investor to buy it. We thought she was on month to month. So that one just doesn't make sense financially, and we didn't want to, waste our time on it.
Got it.
Another one was a land deal, which I was really excited about in Greensboro, North Carolina. Should have been a great deal. Once we started digging into it, it's landlocked. So the easement we thought was there, once we called the county and figured everything out, wasn't an easement, so we couldn't get access to it.
Okay.
So that one bummed us out. And then another one we locked up, and then the guy's wife called immediately saying he's got dementia and they're not going to cooperate. So the point being, out of these deals, you got to build up a big pipeline. There's going to be issues. Those are all different issues, right?
Yeah.
So
35 total. That you just went over, what, 4 of them?
Yeah, 4 were canceled. We got 3 assigned right now, but we just sent a notary out for an addendum, and the assignment contract's out. That's going to get signed after the seller signs an addendum for a holdback. That's $100,000 deal.
$100,000.
I think there's 107 in it or something like that. But we've been working that one for weeks. Seller's been trying to back out. We've been getting them. I've been getting them on the phone. Maybe once a week he'll answer. And finally, I just solved the problem. He had all these different excuses, but what I realized is he's dead broke. He's got a tenant upstairs that's not paying. It's a homeless guy that's scaring him basically. And I just told the guy, finally, the seller, I'm like, dude, we talked with our buyer and he was okay with this. I said, let's just close on the property the end of this month. You'll get funded he's going to get like $200,000, at closing, which he desperately needs. He has no money. So we're going to hold back $50,000 in escrow, and he's going to get to stay in his property for another 30 days. And then once he moves out, that other $50,000 gets released. It's called a holdback post occupancy. The buyer's willing to take it on and deal with it and evict them.
Got it.
So that's a $107,000 deal. So we got 46.5 plus that 107. That'll get
46,500.
Yep.
Plus
107.
107.
That'll get done today.
That's at 153,500.
So we're at 153 there. We do have some access issues. There's 5 in that bucket. Nothing we can't work through, but again, we're just, massaging these sellers to get back in the property and move them.
And dude, wholesaling, you're going to deal with this. Very rarely do you get a deal that just
super smooth. Yeah, it doesn't happen. And people get discouraged. We see it all the time where people will lock up their first couple deals and there's a couple problems and they want to give up. And it's first of all, to me, a deal is not dead almost ever. I will work this deal for the rest of my life. I don't know what part of me feels that, but even at TLC, it's if there was any complicated problem, it's let me just try and figure this out.
Tony is the problem solver.
I just love that. I don't know. I love doing it. I love figuring out, being creative. So these access issues, they're going to turn into closed deals, but there's 5 in there.
For how much projected profit?
100. No. So this will be about 65,000 in there.
So in our access issues, there's roughly 60 grand sitting there.
Yeah, and there's buyers that want some of these. We just got to get the seller back online.
Got it.
Yep. Which some of those will be back online. in dispositions, we got 16 deals in there. I would say about half of those are novation, so those are going to take a while. There's 294,000 in our dispo bucket.
294 grand there.
2 of those should get moved by the end of the week. We got a bunch of walkthroughs. And then new contract, we got about 200 grand in that.
So in 7 weeks, is there a total?
Yeah, there's
we did 35 contracts for a projected.
Yeah, so new contract, dispo, assigned deals. It's going to be 539,000 plus the 107. So whatever that is.
A lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
In 7 weeks.
646,000.
646,000 in 7 weeks. Didn't spend $1 on marketing.
No.
Went back to leads most people would never even look at.
Yeah. I don't think most people even know what they have. People struggle that are building a business or have a wholesale business, and they hit a bad month or something, or marketing or this or that. They're closers. They don't know how to figure it out. And it's a lot of problems you have in your business are, the money's in the business. If you have old, legacy data in there, older leads in there that you haven't talked to, rip through that, because there's 100% money in it, obviously.
Yeah, tons of money.
Tons of money in it. It's too easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like every, wholesale operation, I don't know. It's, people were all excited for us to start this wholesale operation, thinking, it's going to go so smooth and perfect because we coach and we know what we're doing. It's even we're going to have problems. There's problems. I mean, these people are distressed. Their house is distressed. They have a bad tenant. There's going to be issues, and you got to stay on top of it with the customer service, your sales process, your dispo process. You got to get these things to the closing table.
And we hired 2 guys that came from out of town, 1 guy that was local.
Yep.
When we first started, boom, send out all these text messages. We were sitting at 1,300 and something SMSs, where the 2 guys that moved here from out of town, they were going back. Dude, they were literally gone for 2 weeks.
Well, let's start from the beginning. We were going to train these guys, the new team, the first day in the office on the 20th. I wanted to spend a few hours with them, just making sure they understood the CRM and everything. And our CRM thought it was East Coast time, not, what are we, Mountain time. And it sent the first mass text out of 4,000 text messages the minute we got into the office, and the phones were just going off like crazy. And I just said, hey, you guys are just going to have to figure it out. Start answering the phone. And we literally locked up a contract that first day. The next day, we just kept locking up contracts every day. And I was just training them as we go. But we just started ripping.
Well, it's just, but the other day, what was it, last week, where we were like, dude, all these texts, it was overwhelming.
Yeah. So we had the full team in there for 2 weeks. One of our closers goes back to Florida for 2 weeks to move all his stuff here. The minute he gets back, well, not even before he was back, another of our closers goes back to Florida to get his stuff for 2 weeks and moves out here. We were down to 1 closer, and all these text messages were still in the CRM. So we looked, and once everybody was back on the team, and we're looking oh my God, there's 1,300 text messages.
Reset.
Let's just reset. We just got rid of all the text messages and started this week with 500 or 1,000. And I mean, even with 1,000 new text messages on Monday, we still have 300 text messages.
When I was on the coaching call with the community, it was 432.
Yeah, well, we got it to 3 something yesterday, but yeah, the nurture campaign, the texting, with the leads in the CRM is really all we've done for lead gen, and these guys are locking up, a contract a day basically.
Yeah. Moral of the story, y'all, is listen. If him and I can do it, you can do it. This is the one thing that I will say. We both come from blue collar. We both come from middle class families. We both come from a rough upbringing. Not that, we made it rough on it.
Well, I think it's deeper than that, obviously. I think, we have some demons that we've been fighting our whole lives. And I think that in our youth, we were, running from those demons or masking them with drugs and alcohol and everything else to distract ourselves from dealing with our issues. And then, once we, quit doing drugs and got our lives together, it's like we have all this energy or anxiety. It's like, what can we do with it now? It's like, why don't we just get fit, put it all into our business, our relationships, like put all this energy we were using on being pieces of shit. And
Literally.
let's see if we can take this negative aspect of our lives and these demons that are trying to get out of us and just focus that energy on something good, positive, that will build a legacy for us, our families, our friends. And once we pivoted that energy, like sky is the limit, because, that bad energy got you to almost killing yourself to drug addiction. That bad energy almost got me locked up for the rest of my life. Like if we can reach those depths with that energy, imagine the heights we can reach when we focus it on the right thing.
Yeah. And our work ethic.
Yeah,
Get up and go to work every day.
Every day. And I love it. I love it. And people ask, I mean, I'm sure you get this all the time, but it's like, God, like, can't you just take a day off? Aren't you burned out? And it's like, no, like I love it.
Yes.
Like I love waking up and going to work. I'll work 12, 14 hours in a day and it doesn't feel like work because it's what I want to do.
Yep.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I was thinking about it on the way here. I'm like, why do we, and I was thinking about you too. It's like, why do we work so much? And it's like, man, I think we're just scared of the past and who we were. And it's like, I don't want any idle time on my hands.
No,
even on a Sunday when the office isn't open, Saturdays the office isn't open. I still go in and get a bunch of shit done when it's quiet. But on Sundays, I literally don't work, but I still wake up before the sun. Dude, I'll go for a dirt bike ride. I go to the gym. I'll see what you guys are doing, maybe grab lunch, go for a Harley ride. Dude, I'm constantly moving because I don't want to sit still and have them demons win again.
Yeah, I get it. What why is let's talk about, we got just a little bit more. Let's talk about when we first started out and we started freaking just ripping contracts, right? And I think we found out real quick, we were really focused on acquisitions and we were looking at their dials. We were looking at their talk time. We were looking at how many leads were coming. We were literally had a magnifying glass on acquisitions. And we didn't with Dispo.
Yeah.
No one else did.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Well, the market shift was the greatest thing that ever happened to the Dispo process for us. Because, back in 21, I hate to say this, but we didn't focus on dispositions because every contract we locked up, we could get rid of with an email.
It was easy.
Or a text message or one call to one person. It was so easy. But the minute we the market shifted, it was like, oh, like this is a whole other process. We got to get really dialed in.
Yeah.
Because
and we had none.
We had none.
Really, right?
No, we had, some software and stuff, Investor Lift, and we were building a small buyers list, but we didn't have a real process. So once the market shifted, we started focusing on building out the CRM for Dispo. We started focusing on KPIs. You helped us with our first script. And now we got everything scripted out in dispositions. We got the KPIs dialed in, the CRMs dialed in. We're pulling the right data for each deal. We're building a buyer's list. Like we absolutely needed that once the market shifted. Yeah. And I always say it, it's like, our entire team got up and left. And
once we started tracking it.
And it got harder.
Yeah.
Like anybody could sit there and click one button and get 5 buyers that want to buy it at full price. But once you got to start digging and actually working, you got to come up with creative ways to move these deals. And that's what we did. And, we still rip that process today. So if you can get really good at a acquisitions process, sales process, and dispositions right now in this market where it's been kind of stagnant, Imagine what happens later on this year, a year from now, when the market. I mean, we got Uncle Trump back in office. I mean, you know, interest rates are gonna come down. He's not gonna be a president for 4 years and let this
Right.
happen. He's
Right.
gonna do something to fix this and fix the housing market where it's gonna start going up again. And you wanna, we talked about it earlier about I said riding a unicycle, but it's like if you can find success in this market wholesaling where it's stagnant and you
Yep.
got to work a little bit, like imagine what happens when every buyer's calling you and they want a deal like right now.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna, I mean, we're this industry in the next go around when it starts cranking the real estate market and all the hedge funds start buying, all your flippers start buying again. People are making a ton of money, need to
Yep.
buy and hold investments for tax depreciation, dude. It's going to get much easier, and you're going to make way more money if you get in it now. Don't wait and get
Yeah.
spoiled in the good times.
Right.
Yeah.
Figure out how to do it now.
100%.
And we look at a lot of businesses where people are doing over $1 million a year. Hell, we just had a coaching, I think it was last week, where it's like, dude, they started tracking their dispo KPIs for the first time.
Yes.
And they realized, holy shit, my dispo manager is supposed to be getting rid of all my properties. Spent 30 minutes on the telephone.
Yeah.
That's scary.
That's scary. And I went over, and I'll say this with that company, in the beginning, they were just like getting rid of all the deals they were locking up. They were being super conservative about what they locked up. So it was a little easier on Dispo because they knew 100% it was a deal. But now that they're scaling, they're taking a little bit more chance on deals. Like you got to get your process dialed in. And yeah, we spent that whole call just going over like what data to pull, who to talk to on flips, on buy and hold stuff, on novations. And after that call, they were, the people that were on that call was like, holy shit, we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Like we're literally just sending it to a few buyers. It's like, that ain't going to get rid of deals.
Oh. How much money did they look at how much money, how much they made in assignment fees? Is like, damn, how much did
you lose? Exactly. Yeah. You got to have I mean, dispositions is sales. It's just the fulfillment of acquisition. So if you don't grind on the dispo side and have a daily process on who you're going to talk to, the follow-ups, who are the new buyers you're pulling and calling, agents, like you're just not, you're going to lose deals. And it'd be a shitty feeling to like cancel a deal you didn't put the effort into. It's like
we ran into that problem.
It takes a lot of work and money and time to get a deal, to get a contract. Like let's make sure we appreciate that and respect it and do the same on the dispo side, So, it's a sales process and you got to stick to it to get rid of your deals for sure. Yeah.
Dude, we can sit here and talk all day. There will be an episode 2 of Durus, not these effing gurus.
Durus, who came up with that?
There's a guy out of Charlotte.
Durus.
He goes, I'm not a guru, I'm a duru.
I'm a duru. I'm a nuru.
Damn it.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Duru, I like it.
Duru. Nas out of Charlotte.
All right.
Awesome freaking dude.
God bless him.
Yeah. Name of the podcast is Refuse to Lose.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Refuse to lose. What does it mean to me? I would say, like I said it earlier about like running from your past. And when I think about my motivation, like in my first business, I was so motivated. Like I came from rock bottom and went out to California and started my first business. And it was so easy to stay motivated. Like I was trying to prove that I could be, successful. And a big part of that, which I didn't realize, was my dad. And I was doing everything for him. And I didn't even know that because I had disappointed him and let him down so much in life. And then he passes away like 9 years ago in the middle of that growth. And I remember for like a month, maybe I wasn't even depressed. I just had no motivation. And my business partner out there, Scott, was like, he just like came over one day. He's like, dude, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I just don't even care anymore. Like, I don't care about being successful. I don't care about making money. I don't care about anything. I just want to sell everything and move to Mexico. And he was just like, dude, you got to snap. Like, something's wrong with. He's like, this is not you. And I realized talking to my coach, he's like, well, your motivation was just to do everything right by your dad. And that's when I realized like that was the case. And I was like, well, how do I control my motivation moving forward? And it just, selfishly had to go back on me. And I was like, I'm my own motivation because I don't want to end up like I was in 2005. And that's what I think about. I think about the way I felt, the guilt I had, the shit I put my family through, the sleepless nights watching the sun come up high on coke. Like, I just remember like our apartment was filthy. There's people in there we didn't know. We're drunk and hungover all the time and doing drugs. I remember a friend of mine, like I had been up for 2 days and I just like called her and I was like, can I just come over, please? I need somebody to take care of me because I was all strung out. And she said, yes. I went over her house and she had clean sheets. Remember back then when you like could get in a bed with clean sheets?
I love it today. I don't take that for granted.
Oh man. And I just remember that moment of like, she made me a bowl of oatmeal and like I could sleep in her clean sheets. And I was like, so remembering like where, I came from, where you came from, it's like, man, I don't ever, ever, ever want to live like that again. And like, so 9 years ago after my dad passed, like refuse to lose to me means like, if you lose, then you're going to be back to your old self. And that's the person I'm running away from.
Scary.
It's really scary. Yeah.
Scary. And there's days where I feel like that fucker catches up sometimes.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like
100%.
Whether it's mentally or my emotions or, I'm 15 years. I got over 15 years clean. There were times I was living dirty, but I was clean.
Right.
And it's like, damn, how far back is that, dude?
I know. Yeah.
Scary.
It happens to me once in a while, rarely anymore, but it does still happen where I'll be driving down the road, I'm at a certain point in my day or my life and a song will come on that reminds me of something and it just hits me and I'm like, God, I just want to run guns down to Cuba, get a brick of cocaine and just like, let's burn it all to the ground.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a real exciting feeling.
Yeah.
It's sick. Like, I remember when I didn't drink for like a year and a half, and I'll casually have a drink here and there now. But I remember like when I first quit drinking and I was dead sober for a year and a half, I remember having a conversation with my mentor, my coach, and I was like, man, I almost miss the high highs and low lows. Like that's what I miss about drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And I think that's the feeling I get still once in a while where it's like, and that's why I love to off-road and mountain bike and do crazy adventure shit. Like I need that to release whatever that is inside me. But if you don't have that, you're like, man, I miss the lows as much as the highs because at least there's something. Like we're wired wrong, obviously. But again, it's like you just got to remember in those moments, like, you don't want to go back to that person. And it's a way better path if you can just find the highs because life's going to throw the lows at you, whether you like it or not. Let's just keep searching for those peaks, not the valleys.
I love it. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on here. I know y'all got a shit ton of value from that. There'll be another one to follow. Hey, until the next episode, pick up the phone, start making the fucking dials, and just understand the deals ain't going to close themselves. Hey, what's going on? I want to congratulate you for making it to the end. What does that mean? You're in the 1% club. No one else stuck around. You did. What I want you to do is subscribe. More importantly, comment below. That way I know exactly who you are and we can get to know one another. Every single week, by you turning your notifications on, you're not going to miss the sales training that's going to keep you in this 1% club. comment below, subscribe. I'm gonna see you in the next video. Let's continue to refuse to lose.